Why is speaking confidently so much harder than it looks? You're just saying words. So theoretically, you should be able to plan what words you want to say and say them with confidence. But that's kind of like telling an athlete, winning the Olympic medal in sprinting is easy. Just move your legs faster than the person next to you and you'll win the medal. Just because something sounds simple doesn't mean it's easy. Speaking with confidence is hard because it's layered. You know those Russian nesting dolls where there's a doll inside a doll inside a doll? Speaking with confidence is kind of like those dolls. It's not just one skill, it's many skills layered together. But when you know what the different layers are, then you start making real progress. Today, I'm going to teach you what those layers are, starting with a framework that I call the skills triad. The skills triad represents the three different types of skills that we can acquire. There's what I call technical skills, performance-based skills, and pressure-based skills. So technical skills are the most straightforward. These are skills where you learn the step-by-step, and as you get better at executing those steps, you get better at the skill. So a simple example would be origami. You get a piece of paper, and then you learn the steps that you need to take to transform that piece of paper into a crane or into something beautiful. And as long as you can learn the steps and follow them, you'll get better. The second type of skill is what I call a performance-based skill. A performance-based skill is a skill that you perform in front of other people. So unlike origami, which you do in the comfort of your own home most likely, an example of a performance-based skill would be something like being a professional martial arts fighter. You would have to fight in real time, dynamically, against an opponent with at least one person watching you because you've got the opponent, but possibly even more people watching you fight. Performance-based skills are inherently more challenging and they create more pressure than technical skills because you can't just comfortably complete the step-by-step at your own pace. You have to perform the skill dynamically in real time while experiencing the pressure of people watching. So performance-based skills require more mental and emotional fortitude than technical skills. And a skill can be both a performance-based skill and a technical skill. Martial arts is a great example. You have to know the technical piece of how to kick and how to punch, but you also have to have the performance-based skill of being able to do that dynamically while people are watching. The third type of skill is what I call a pressure-based skill. This is the most difficult of all three types of skills. Pressure-based skills are skills that you have to perform in the face of setbacks, obstacles, and failures. So they're one level more intense than performance-based skills because in addition to performing in front of people, you're also handling a setback. So an example would be an NBA player who's doing free throws at a basketball game, and they miss their first free throw, and the crowd starts booing, and then they have to take their second free throw. That's an example of a pressure-based skill because they have to handle the pressure of having just missed a free throw while having the crowd boo at them. That's even harder than just a performance skill because they're dealing with the setback, and that setback creates additional pressure. So the three types of skills are technical skills, which are simple step-by-step skills, performance-based skills, which are skills that you perform dynamically in front of other people, and pressure-based skills, which are skills that you have to perform even in the face of failures and setbacks. Now, the reason that speaking with confidence is so hard is because it encompasses all three types of skills. It's a technical skill, It's a performance skill, and it's a pressure-based skill. It's technical because there's the technical component of how to articulate your thoughts, how to be crisp, how to be persuasive, how to be strategic. It's also a performance-based skill because often you have to speak dynamically and respond in real time while your colleagues are watching you. And it's also a pressure-based skill because when you're in a work meeting, you're going to experience failures and setbacks. You might have a stakeholder disagree with you. You might get asked a question that you're not prepared to answer. You might be presenting a slide and you accidentally fumble your words. And you have to keep going. You have to handle the adversity of those moments and keep speaking with confidence. So speaking up confidently is what I call a triple barrel skill. It's not just about knowing the technical how-to of what words to say. It's also about knowing how to handle the performance aspect and the pressure aspect. And the reason that I see people getting stuck is because they're very focused on the technical aspect. So they're learning how to articulate themselves clearly. They're learning different frameworks for executive communication, but they're not quite as focused on the performance piece and the pressure piece. Now, this is actually a really good thing because a lot of the times people think, oh, I'm just not good at speaking confidently because something's wrong with me, right? I'm planning my talking points, I'm trying to learn how to articulate myself well. And when it comes down to it and it's time for me to speak, I don't sound confident and I fumble over my words and I'm not able to have the impact that I want to have in the room. And then they worry, is something wrong with me? Is this because I'm an introvert? Am I missing some personality trait that these other more confident speakers have? And it's none of those things. It's just that you have to add in the performance piece and the pressure piece if you want to get good at speaking with confidence. Now, the good news is all three of these components can be learned. They're called skills because you can grow them and develop them over time. And I want to dive specifically into how you develop the performance aspect and the pressure aspect of speaking with confidence, because those are the places where I see people getting stuck the most. So let's start with the performance aspect of speaking up. How do you get good at responding in real time and speaking with confidence when other people are watching you? The biggest element that I help my clients with when I'm teaching them how to get good at this is learning to master their internal self-talk. So I want you to imagine a professional martial arts fighter doing a martial arts fight in the ring. And as they're punching and kicking and doing their thing, there's a loud voice in their head yelling at them about how bad they're performing. And that voice is saying things like, that punch was horrible. You're going to lose this fight. You should have trained longer last week. Why'd you skip that training session? You're not doing well. Your opponent's going to win. If they had all of that chatter in their mind as they're fighting, they're going to struggle to perform. They're going to be distracted. They're not going to feel confident in the moment, and they're not going to be able to get into a flow and just be present with what's happening in front of them. Even though we can't be in their head and know their exact thoughts, when we look at high-level athletes and how they achieve their best performance, we see over and over that they're really good at compartmentalizing those negative thoughts and staying present so they can perform in the moment. Speaking up is exactly the same. When you have that loud voice in your head telling you that you sound stupid and you shouldn't have fumbled and you're rambling and your boss doesn't like how you're sharing your ideas, it distracts you, it steals your confidence, and it becomes very hard for you to speak up effectively and perform in the moment. And where I see people getting stuck is they assume that they're having trouble speaking because they're not good at articulating themselves and they're not good at finding the right words. But actually, what's usually happening is that internal self-talk is so loud and so negative that it's distracting you and preventing you from showing up with your full focus, presence, and confidence. Now, when I'm working with my clients and helping them learn how to manage that negative self-talk, I always tell them that we don't need to make it go away. We can't always control the thoughts that we're having and what's happening in our minds, but we do need to learn how to put them to the side, how to compartmentalize them, how to not get hooked into them and spiral deeper into that negativity. And this is something that you build through practice. It's just like a physical muscle where the more reps you clock, the stronger you get. And as you get better at compartmentalizing those thoughts, they start to get quieter and less disruptive. So instead of you going into a meeting and then getting stuck in your head, criticizing yourself and ruminating on that one word that you fumbled, you notice that happening, you put it to the side, you stay present, and you speak with confidence. Now, I also want to talk about the pressure component of speaking up. So remember, the pressure component is the ability to perform a skill in front of other people after you've experienced a setback or a failure. And the way that you get good at this is through emotional resilience and emotional regulation. These are big topics that I focus on with my clients because they are essential for speaking with confidence. Emotional resilience means that when you have a distressing emotional experience, you bounce back quickly. So an example might be you're presenting a slide and you accidentally jumble your words and you start talking in circles for a minute. And then all of a sudden, you start to feel really bad and embarrassed that happened. When you're not emotionally resilient, that embarrassment takes over, you struggle to recover, and the rest of your presentation doesn't go as well as you wanted it to because that one mess up stuck with you and dragged you down for the rest of the presentation. But when you're emotionally resilient, you might have that initial feeling of like, oh my gosh, I messed that up. I feel a little bit embarrassed, but you bounce back. Instead of sinking deeper into it, you say to yourself, I've got to stay focused and keep going. And you leave that feeling behind and you march forward. People who do this are such effective speakers because it doesn't matter if they mess up. They just mess up and they keep going as if it's not a big deal and as if it didn't even happen. And I'm sure that you've noticed this. If you've ever seen your boss or a leader at your company mess up and then just keep talking as if nothing happened, you know the power of resilience and you know the power of bouncing back, because when they speak as if it's not a big deal, then no one else in the room sees it as a big deal. So this skill is invaluable. Now, there's another piece that will also help you handle the pressure, and that is emotional regulation. So emotional resilience is your ability to quickly bounce back when you mess up and you start to feel emotionally uncomfortable. But we can't always do that. Sometimes we mess up and we feel emotionally uncomfortable and we can't bounce back and it won't go away. This is normal. This doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means this is an opportunity to practice emotional regulation. I want you to think about it as like the backup plan or the stopgap for when you can't quickly bounce back in the moment. Emotional regulation means I can be feeling emotionally uncomfortable, but I know how to control my behavior and show up how I want to, even if internally I'm struggling a little bit emotionally. So going back to the example of presenting a slide and fumbling your words and talking in circles, Emotional regulation would look like you having the experience of, oh my gosh, I messed that up. And now I notice that I'm feeling embarrassed and I'm feeling really bad about how I just spoke. And the feeling is here and it's here to stay, and I am not bouncing back from it. With emotional regulation, all of that can be happening, and you say to yourself, no problem, I can handle this. I can handle this feeling, and I'm going to bring out confidence as I speak, even if inside I'm having some emotional turmoil. This is an essential skill that leaders need to develop, because when you are a high up leader, your company needs you to handle the messy, stressful, chaotic things. They need leaders who can handle the types of projects where there's a lot of stress in the room and where things do fall apart and where it does feel emotionally bad when you're in the thick of the struggle. Great leaders don't let that take them down. They push through, they speak with confidence, they show up well, even if inside things are feeling emotionally difficult. And sometimes we look at these strong, confident, powerful leaders, and on the outside, they look confident and calm and in control. And we think to ourselves, well, I guess in order to be a great leader and a confident speaker, I need to be that way too. I need to be calm and I need to be confident all the time. But what we don't see is what's happening inside of them. The inside isn't always shown on the outside, and that's what makes them such an excellent, powerful leader. Leaders and CEOs and athletes and all of these people that we watch out in the world who we think are so perfect and so confident, it's not that they're perfect and confident, it's that they know how to show up strong when things get messy for them emotionally. And I share this with you because something that I see keeping people stuck is thinking that the goal is never to feel bad emotionally. The goal is to be so prepared and so polished and so ready that you never have those moments that knock you down emotionally. You always have answers prepared in the room. You always have a script for what you want to say. You always have the knowledge that's needed for that conversation. But when you get to higher leadership levels, that's not possible. You need to be able to lead messy rooms where no one has the answers and no one has the information, and things are going to be messy and chaotic no matter how prepared you are, because that's the nature of the project. More complexity equals more pressure and chaos. But when you're a great leader, none of that detracts from your confidence and leadership in the room. And the thing that I get excited about most when it comes to building emotional resilience and emotional regulation is that it makes you feel so psychologically unstoppable, because you watch yourself face these really difficult, uncomfortable situations, and you watch yourself rise to the occasion and handle it anyway. And that builds a very deep level of confidence because you move through the world knowing that when shiz hits the fan, it's not a problem for you. And that knowing is what differentiates between confidence that is fragile and falls apart as soon as things get difficult versus confidence that is strong and lasting and enduring and that stays with you even when you're facing an obstacle. So in summary, the reason that speaking with confidence feels hard is because it is hard. It's not just a simple, straightforward technical skill like learning origami. It's a more complex skill where you need to master the technical component, the performance component, and the pressure component. But the good news is that all three of these are learnable, and as you get stronger in all three areas, you begin speaking with confidence and being able to show up strong even in high-pressure situations. If you are ready to get strong in all three of these skills, I want to invite you to come work with me inside the Art of Speaking Up Academy. In the Academy, I help you with the technical component of speaking up, but I also help you with those internal components. I help you master the performance aspect and the pressure aspect so that you have the complete skill set you need to show up in the room with confidence and share your ideas with impact. If you're ready to develop a confident voice that can withstand the pressure and that can handle those high stakes, bigger meetings, I want to invite you to add yourself to the waitlist. Here's why. In a few weeks, I'm going to be opening early enrollment. Early enrollment means you get to enroll in advance for a future cohort of the Art of Speaking Up Academy. And for this next round of early enrollment, I am offering the biggest early enrollment bonus that I've ever offered. Once you're on the waitlist, you will be first to find out what that bonus is and when you can enroll early. Add yourself to the waitlist by clicking the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.